we have improved compared to what we had last year. The last year was the first one. This is the second one. When you came for official opening of last year's first conference, you represented His Excellency, the President. But while part of outside what the President had given you to convey to us, you said we should have this as an annual conference where we come to share as different stakeholders to evaluate our performance, pay extra attention to whatever is so keen for us to be able to unlock the implementation and the success to be registered for all the SDGs. So that's why we are here. So we have done as you commanded. We've had sessions and we have realized we need a lot of work. And in here there is what I've committed that we will be able to do even outside this conference. The issue of the carbon credit, we will have to have a discussion in your office to bring together all the different teams to be sure that we also get to that level where we know we were guided that we need to get somebody to come and calculate for us to understand where we are, what we have and what we don't have, to know what we are contributing and what we are not contributing, to be able to calculate and bring ourselves into issues to do with the statistics and data. Once we have that, it will give us very good negotiating power that we can go out and negotiate. And that's why you see sometimes people make statements that without data, because there is no data and there is no data to refer to. One of the panelists here said, Kampala is the most polluted city in the world. I said, wow, I wish this one knew what is in the other cities. For diplomatic reasons, let me not talk about them. But Africa is the lowest contributor of pollution in the world. So Kampala cannot be the highest polluted city in the world when Africa as a whole, we are not. Actually, it is Europe and Asia that contribute the most. And it is us who are actually mitigating that by keeping our nature, keeping our forests. Yes, we are destroying, but at the same time, we are offering solutions to the lives of our brothers and sisters in Europe and in Asia. So such statements are said because we don't have data. We don't have proper data. So we need to go back as government to make sure we have data so that we are also able to challenge such when we have the data. The presentations are summarized in key messages and outcomes derived from the two-day discussion. There are many. I will beg for your indulgence, but I'll try as much as possible to even be as brief because they've pulled out 20 of them. So one, parish development model has emerged as a promising strategy for reducing vulnerability and driving inclusiveness at the local level. It is a key to achieving all other SDGs. Once we achieve the first SDG, no poverty, then it will unlock all the others, all the remaining 15, because the 17th one is to do with partnership. 2, consolidating gains and opportunities for SDG 5, that is gender equality, requires concerted effort in areas such as promoting women leadership, eliminating gender-based violence, even partial bias, and ensuring equal access to education, health care, and economic opportunities. This one is just urging us to put in more efforts as a country, because when it comes to the global scale, Uganda is up there. We have done our best, right from the lowest level up to the apex, when it comes to issues to do with leadership and service delivery. Inclusiveness is a very important issue. 3, data and statistics play a crucial role in identifying vulnerable groups, monitoring progress, and designing targeted interventions directly to suit the beneficiaries. The National Statistical Agency is committed to providing accurate and timely data to support evidence-based decision-making and ensure inclusivity in the implementation of SDGs at all levels. 4. Development partners have a vital role to play in supporting government of Uganda in the localization of the SDGs. Upscale effective partnership between government, civil society, government development partners, and essential for mobilizing resources. We must also share expertise and align efforts towards achieving SDGs. This can only be sustained through mutual accountability and transparency. 5. Multiple sources of financing for SDGs like carbon trade, diaspora bonds should be established, as the current funding is limited. The implementation of the public investment financing strategy is crucial to meeting the SDGs financial requirements, as well as taking bold steps in financing SDGs and NDP3. We're already funding. What we need to do is maybe to be more frugal and also make sure we expedite the process. 6, multi-stakeholder engagement needs to be strengthened, particularly at the local government level, to enhance understanding and collaboration of SDG implementation. The Office of the Prime Minister and the SDG Secretariat should establish a reporting mechanism that captures the contributions of various stakeholders, especially through voluntary local reviews. Now that we are going for September for the same, next year, 2024, we are expected to play a very big role as a country. This is something that we must put efforts to, much more than we've done before. 7, civil society and religious organizations remain critical pillars for ensuring citizens' involvement, popularizing the SDGs, and fostering multiple stake partnerships. A more conducive environment that grants associational and expressive freedoms for civil society organizations is essential. 8, accelerated efforts and stakeholder involvement. Given the complex situation and uncertainties, there is need for accelerated efforts by all stakeholders. The public sector needs to enhance its effectiveness by leveraging digital technologies and establishing an effective development partnership architecture to suit the current demands and those in the future. 9, decentralization reforms should be reviewed and revitalized to empower sub-national authorities and local communities. With the increase in population and the expansion of cities, we need to cater for the unique concerns of cities, including waste disposal, fiscal plans, and other related urban issues. It is possible to collect and spend resources from source, especially by local governments, with proper monitoring and accountability mechanisms and follow-ups. 10, the private sector is recognized as a critical partner in driving innovation and economic growth, and there was a call for structured engagements and a more enabling policy environment that allows the sector to grow and thrive. The private sector continues to closely work with different partners to focus on issues related to employment, growth of economic opportunities for women, and skills development for the young people. 11, digitization is a crucial enabler for sustainable development, but there is a need to enhance its implementation and bridge the digital divide. The status of digitization in Uganda is progressing, but there is still work to be done to fully leverage its potential for sustainable development. 12, innovation are critical to SDG attainment. There is a need for more comprehensive policy, funding, and infrastructure to foster a thriving innovation ecosystem. Collaboration between the government, private sector, and innovators is crucial for providing the necessary support and resources to drive innovation and achieve the SDGs. Members, you remember the discussion yesterday Dr. Msenero led us through. You realize they are doing a lot as a ministry, but they are still in the process of bringing together and patching up the different policies to be brought now under one roof. They were scattered under different sectors, but they are doing their best, and so far, so good from what you observed and heard from her yesterday. 13, capacity building and education. Strengthening capacity and education on the SDGs and Agenda 2063 should be a priority. This can be achieved through the integration of sustainable development principles and concepts into educational curricula at all levels, as well as the provision of targeted training programs and workshops for professional and decision makers. 14, policy intervention should focus on creating an enabling environment for maybe a more enabling environment for business, fostering innovation and enhancing the competitiveness of local industries. This can be achieved through targeted support programs, capacity building initiatives, and the development of quality standards and certifications. And these are going on. What we need to do is to increase on speed so that we are able to catch up and register 100% in the remaining 7 years. 15, streamlining and simplifying loan application processes, expanding coverage and accessibility by of these financial facilities, and providing tailored financial products and services to meet the specific needs of agricultural business and smaller enterprises in crucial for increasing and access to agricultural credit facility and small business recovery fund. Judiciary as an enabler. The rule of law is considered to be an enabler for the realization of the SDGs. Judicial intervention is anticipated in areas where government will apply policy and legislative interventions to address challenges and where Agenda 2030 has directly placed on government the obligation to meet targets promised in the law. As an enabler of sustainable development, rule of the law is the hub and the other 15 goals are the spokes in the network. Allow me at this time, Right Honorable Prime Minister, respond to what the RCC of Mbarara raised about the issue of digitalizing data in the judiciary. During her presentation, Justice Catherine Bamugemerere was able to tell us that they started on this in March 2022, and so far they've done it in 8 courts, and they are continuing, and the government has provided resources for them to continue and cover all the courts. So they are moving so well. If they started in March 2022, they've now so far covered 8. So that means they are going to increase speed. They've now learned where mistakes have been made, and they will expedite the process. 17, strengthen partnership. As part of government's commitment to continued engagement with the SDGs, government will continue to build a strong evidence-based national partnership forum process consistent with the SDG 17 targets, which is about the means of implementation of SDGs. This will go a long way in ensuring that all stakeholders work together to build better systems across government, hence contributing to the global SDG agenda and the National Development Plan agenda. 18, commitment to continuous action. Beyond the conference, the commitment to continuous action is crucial. Participants have expressed their dedication to translating the decisions and the outcomes of the conference into tangible actions. This commitment should be reinforced through the establishment of follow-up mechanisms such as working groups, task forces, or partnerships to implement specific projects and initiatives aligned to the SDGs and Agenda 2063. 19. The judicial system in Uganda needs to integrate across all NDP programs and the PDM to ensure a complete administration of justice chain in Uganda. And this, allow me to inform you also, Right Honorable, inform the team that while she was presenting, she was able to tell us how now we also have court in Buvuma district, which has never happened before, and how they have also established all courts in all the districts in this country, including those which have never had. So they are on course, but it is our work to whip them so that they expedite the process. 20, expand remand home coverage across the country for better handling of juvenile cases and diversion of juveniles from traditional retention centers. Allow me also add, Right Honorable, that has not been covered. The Chief Justice representative also said that they need support from us to be able to handle especially international cases, issues to do with the digitalization, issues to do with cross-border cases. She said they still have challenges, but this calls for us having a meeting under your chair as the Prime Minister so that we get to understand the challenge in depth and then be able to be part of the solution for the good of this country and for the good of everybody. We have not taken on what the youth have raised here, but we are also going to incorporate them. And Right Honorable, we also had young girls from Wakiso district. They were also able to raise issues that they are faced with as children, as girl child, as female teachers in schools that we need to work on as government. Part of it was they need a changing room as pupils in schools. Of course, they were saying this as primary kids, but you knowing that it is also something that we have to do in secondary schools, it will call for us to change policy, especially when it comes to issues to do with the facilities in schools. They need a changing room as girls and also female teachers, especially at a time when they wouldn't want to see any male to even look at them because it is not culturally allowed in our culture. And they raised quite a number of issues. They said the materials we are providing, the books, are not sufficient, are not enough for them given the increase in numbers. And yet we have introduced a curriculum where each of them is required to have books for every subject. So this calls for you as Right Honorable Prime Minister to put more resources in education to cater for this. When they were saying this, I remembered when I was in primary school, I was a small, short girl. Now I was imagining that means the boys are going to bully girls and first take the books, then those to suffer most are your young girls. And so as Prime Minister, you have to make this happen. I want to take this opportunity, in the interest of time, to thank you sincerely for the time. I want to report to you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. People sat in yesterday the whole day. The Vice President came in to open, and she sat with us the whole afternoon until when we closed the day at 7:30. We remain indebted to the Vice President who accorded us time. We remain indebted as Office of the Prime Minister to all of you, the panelists. We remain indebted to you as the UN family led by my sister Susan, who is the UN Resident Coordinator, and also the Special Security Officer. People keep forgetting that she's also in charge of the UN security in this place. They always leave out that title. And also one thing I've also observed, whenever people come here to thank, they don't thank the Prime Minister, and they don't thank they don't thank the Prime Minister so much like they thank the Minister of Finance. They don't know the commander is the Prime Minister for finance to act. So please, you should thank the Prime Minister first before you thank the Minister of Finance. And I've also observed this in the UN circles. As a student of diplomacy, diplomatic relations, I want to tell you that because it is of recent that we've had the UN Resident Coordinator, people keep thanking the UNDP, the UNDP, the UNDP. There is a commander. The commander is the UN country coordinator. So we have to live and live in the current. Can you thank the UN Resident Coordinator by clapping loudest? I also want in a special way to thank the Office of the Prime Minister, the Secretariat, the SDG Secretariat, coordinated by Dr. Albert Byamugisha and the team. We want to thank you so much, the youth that you work with. We want to thank so much the Danish Embassy. Thank you so much for the support you have given us. We want to tell you that what we had last year, we were able to carry back that in the regional meetings. And we want to promise you that together we shall continue registering more success under the leadership of the Prime Minister. And the next 7 years, we'll find when the parish development model has done its work and will be into something else because the success will have been registered. You know it very well that once we achieve on bringing the 39% into the money economy, then we shall unlock, we shall have good health care because everybody will be affording. We shall be able to have good education because everybody will be affording. We shall have dealt with gender equality because we would have empowered the most vulnerable people, and we would have been able to reach to those communities that we all sometimes people go to last. We have gone to them first, like the Bakwa. Those communities that must come to the level of the rest because they are all created in God's image. Lastly, issues to do with the environment. I want to say we have one planet to live on, and that's the earth. All your actions should be geared and centered at making it better for yourself who is existing now, but for those to come tomorrow, because they will have no planet to go to. They will have no alternative. Now that we found a beautiful planet where we are now, let's make it better for those to come next.